So if you've ever tried to follow a major policy debate about, public finance, you know that feeling of instant frustration?
hmm
We hear these huge, sweeping, completely abstract terms, raise 100 billion or shift 5% of GDP.
Or my favorite, broaden the tax base.
Right. And they're beautiful phrases, I guess, for policy papers.
They are. But when you, as the listener, are just trying to figure out what that number actually means for your wallet, for your day-to-day choices.
Yeah, for your kid's school.
Exactly. Those phrases are totally useless. They don't speak to actual people.
And that's the problem we really want to tackle today. For this deep dive, we're throwing out all the jargon. The fiscal multipliers, the quintiles, the deciles.
We're done with it.
We are going to talk about real households, the people you meet in the supermarket or, at the school gate.
Yeah.
And our mission is to look at one massive, hypothetical, but very specific challenge: funding a school system that gives every single child the quality of education that's right now basically reserved for private schooling.
And we're not just talking about, marginal improvements here.
No.
The sources we've looked at suggest that to get that full level of quality, we're talking class sizes capped at 20, stable buildings,
Proper arts and sports.
deep enrichment programs, and this is the big one,
Yeah.
proper immediate special educational needs, or SEN, support. To do all that, you need to raise a massive amount of money.
How much are we talking?
About 110 pound to 130 billion pounds a year in new recurring public revenue.
That is just a staggering investment. So if that's the cost, then the core question we have to answer is, well, it's deeply human, and frankly, it's brutal.
Mhm.
Who pays how much, and is that system actually fair?
And to answer that, we have to sort of jettison the old, flawed definition of fairness.
All right.
Fairness isn't everyone pays the same amount. If we're aiming for a truly progressive model, fairness has to be defined as pain felt.
Pain felt.
The model basically assumes that those who feel the financial pain of a contribution the least must, by definition, contribute the most.
That framing definitely gives us a clearer lens. But the real challenge is translating that principle into actual numbers for real people, isn't it?
It is. So we pulled together 6 specific household stories. They walk us through exactly how this pain-felt idea is applied right across the economic spectrum to fund this whole thing.
Okay, so let's start at the foundational level, the floor where, frankly, the pain is already maxed out. Let's start with Leanne.
Okay, Leanne, she's a single mom. She's working part-time in retail, earning about 18,500 pounds a year.
Right.
She rents a 2-bed flat, and her budget, as one of the sources put it, is already a careful Tetris game. Every single pound has a job.
Can we just pause on that? A careful Tetris game. That means any small shock, a parking ticket, a broken boiler, and the whole thing just crashes.
The whole system crashes. She has zero margin for error.
Zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So under this funding model, Leanne's contribution to this new 130 billion pound system is zero. She pays nothing extra, not a penny. She's already feeling enough pain just existing in the economy. Her budget has no flex, so her contribution is based on that.
But the game for her and her child is, well, it's enormous.
Oh, absolutely. Her child moves from an overcrowded, underfunded school into a system with smaller classes, much better pastoral care, guaranteed enrichment.
A modern, safe building.
Her contribution is zero. Her benefit is the highest. That sets our baseline for pain felt.
Okay. Now let's move up a bit to James and Rena, a young couple.
Right. They're in their mid-20s renting a small flat. They're not rich, but they're not struggling. Their total household income is 54,000 pounds. And kids are still a, quote, future conversation.
So they're the working core. Educated, productive, but not really established yet.
Exactly. And what's interesting here is that even with no kids in the system right now, they are asked to contribute. It recognizes their higher capacity compared to Leanne.
So what's their share?
It comes out to about 700 pounds to 1,000 pounds a year.
Okay, which is roughly, what, 14 pounds to 20 pounds a week? Now, let me just push back on that for a second.
Sure.
For James and Rena, that's not insignificant. That's a couple of days' groceries, maybe half their internet bill. Wouldn't they argue that is absolutely pain felt?
Well, they would certainly argue it's annoying. They notice it for sure.
Yeah.
But the model makes a distinction between annoying and system crushing.
Okay.
For Leanne, 14 pounds a week is systemic failure. For James and Rena, it means changing some habits, but it doesn't change their ability to pay rent or buy food.
So the logic is mild pain now, major gain later. They're investing in the infrastructure they'll eventually use.
Precisely. That mild pain now guarantees that when those future kids do arrive, they walk straight into a gold standard system. They get the 20 pupil classes, teachers who are paid well enough not to burn out.
And they don't have to rely on PTA cake sales for basic supplies.
Exactly. It's an investment in their own future stability.
Okay, let's move right into the household that I think a lot of people will identify with. Dave and Priya. The middle of the middle.
The classic middle. They've got a mortgage, 2 kids already in the public system. They're running around to after-school clubs. They've got that unreliable second car.
I know that car.
We all do. Their total household income is £66,000.
Okay, so for this family, the contribution must start to get really noticeable.
It does. It reflects their higher capacity and, importantly, their immediate use of the service. They'd contribute about £1,800 to £2,400 a year.
So that's 35 to 45 pounds a week. We have to address that head on. That is real money.
It is.
That's a family vacation or a big chunk of their car insurance.
Right.
For a family already stretched, wouldn't they just say this is penalizing them for being successful?
It's an incredibly fair question, and the model addresses it by focusing on the immediate return on that investment. The pain of the contribution is balanced by getting rid of existing educational pain points.
Such as?
Think about the games. They instantly get class sizes of 20, they get a stable teaching workforce, and crucially, they get serious, immediate SEN support instead of waiting a year or more.
Which is a huge source of stress for so many families.
Enormous family stress. So the model frames this not as a punishment, but as a shared investment that immediately solves their biggest current headache: worrying about the quality of their kids' education.
Okay, let's step up the ladder again to Sarah. A high earner, no kids, works in tech, earns £95,000 a year. She knows she's going to have to contribute more.
Sarah is a prime example of high capacity, low immediate need. Her extra annual tax bill is significant, somewhere around £9,000 to £12,000.
That's a serious number.
It is. The pain is real, but it's absorbed within her lifestyle without her having to, rethink her fundamental financial stability.
Now, here's where I thought the sources got really interesting. A brilliant twist. She doesn't have kids, so no direct family gain, yet she's paying £10,000 a year.
Well, let's just hold that for a second. That £9,000 to £12,000 contribution, while it's high, is still less than what her peers who do have kids are often paying for one child in private school.
Oh, that's a great point. That really puts the cost in perspective, doesn't it?
It does. And her indirect benefits are enormous. This funding creates a more productive, skilled workforce, which is essential for her tech industry.
Right. Improves the whole economy.
Greater social stability, lower crime, higher long-term growth. It all ultimately benefits her income and her assets. She's investing in the very economy that makes her high salary possible.
Okay. Now we come to the group everyone expects to resist this entire idea. The Harrisons. High earners, £310,000 total household income. 2 kids currently in private school, and they're paying a fortune for it. About £40,000 a year in fees.
This is the critical test case, really, the group that is already paying for the gold standard. Under this model, their extra tax contribution, based on their capacity, would be between £25,000 and £35,000 a year.
Wait, hold on. Let's stop right there. Walk me through the maths on that slowly.
Okay.
They were paying £40,000 a year in private fees. The new universal system is guaranteed to be just as good, if not better. So what does that new tax bill actually mean for their bank account?
The calculation is surprisingly simple. They stop paying the £40,000 in fees entirely. Their kids get the same quality in the new public system.
Oh, okay, so that outflow is gone.
Gone. They start paying the new tax, which at the very most is £35,000.
So if they pay the top end of that tax, £35,000, they are still saving $5,000 a year. And if their tax bill is at the low end, £25,000.
They're saving £15,000 a year.
They save money.
Exactly. Their net gain is between £5,000 and £15,000. They save money under a universal private level schooling system.
That completely flips the political narrative. The group everyone assumes would be most resistant actually comes out ahead financially. Why haven't we heard this calculation before?
Because the debate always focuses on the gross number, the tax increase, not the net financial impact on a specific household. It shows that for high earners already paying for a premium service, this kind of system can be a financial windfall.
The financial incentive to keep the private system just dissolves.
It does. Which leads us to the final tier, the very top, the top 1%. Incomes of £450,000 and up, often with significant other assets. This is where fairness, as the sources say, bites hardest, because it should. Their capacity to absorb the cost is just on another level.
And this is the group that closes that 130 billion funding gap. So what kind of contribution are we talking about?
Substantial. We're talking anywhere from £50,000 to over £300,000 per household a year, depending on their total wealth.
And how do you actually get that money? I mean, standard income tax alone won't get you there, right?
Correct. It has to be a multifaceted approach. First, yes, a higher additional rate income tax band, maybe 50 or 55%, but that's only part of it.
Okay.
Critically, capital gains tax, or CGT, is aligned with income tax rates for these high-asset individuals.
Meaning investment profits get taxed like earned income if you're in that top bracket. That captures wealth that often avoids high income tax.
Precisely. We're also talking about reducing some higher rate tax reliefs so they don't just become loopholes for the ultra-wealthy. And finally, a small annual levy on multi-million-pound property portfolios.
So it's a model based on total wealth, not just salary.
Yes, the rationale is clear. While the contribution is enormous, this group can absorb it without any meaningful lifestyle impact. They feel the pain the least, so they pay the most.
Okay, we've gone through the whole spectrum, from Leanne paying 0 to the top 1% paying huge figures. Let's just synthesize the pattern that emerges here.
The pattern is, well, it's perfectly progressive. It sticks right to that pain-felt principle.
The poorest pay nothing.
Their stability is the priority. Lower earners pay a small, manageable weekly amount, an investment in their own future.
Middle earners pay something substantial. You definitely notice it, but they get those huge immediate family benefits in return. No more SEN waiting lists, small classes.
And then as you go up, high earners pay real money. But people like the Harrisons actually have a net financial gain if they were already in the private system.
And the very richest pay the most simply because they can. They feel the pain the least. And what does all of this buy the country as a whole?
It buys universal, high-quality classes of 20. It buys a safe, modern school estate, a stable, well-paid teaching workforce,
Serious, fast SEN support.
and proper arts and sports enrichment for every child, no matter their postcode or their parents' income. It promises equal opportunity and, in the long run, far higher national prosperity.
It's how a civilized nation invests in itself.
That's a great way to put it. It's the practical application of fairness defined not as pounds paid, but as pain felt.
And that distinction, that shift in definition, is really the core takeaway for you, the listener, today. It's so easy to get hung up on the initial 130 billion levy a figure.
Yeah.
But when you break it down into the stories of Leanne and Dave and Priya and the Harrisons, the traditional political resistance points just start to melt away.
It raises a really important final question for you to think about. If the goal is truly high-quality education for everyone, and the tax structure to fund it actually results in a net financial saving for the very people currently paying for private schools,
The Harrisons of the world.
does that financial incentive just dissolve the traditional political resistance to high public spending?
Think about that. If a universal investment saves the wealthiest money while creating massive social stability and economic growth for the whole country, why would anyone resist it? That's the profound implication of defining fairness by the pain you feel, not just the amount you pay. Something to mull over.